If stories aren't told, they become silent. And the history of the Buffalo Soldiers grew silent. I couldn't believe when I started my research that a history involving African Americans protecting national parks fully over a decade before the creation of the National Park Service, how that story could be forgotten. But it was. These were troops, both cavalry and infantry, that were formed after the Civil War, around 1866, and they served in the Indian Wars, where they received that name from their Plains Indian protagonists, who saw that the hair on their heads was just like the matted cushion between the horns of the buffalo, and they began calling them Buffalo Soldiers. But what was forgotten was that some of these soldiers ventured here into the Sierra Nevada around the turn of the last century and became some of the first National Park Rangers, serving in Yosemite and Sequoia in 1899, 1903, and 1904. These soldiers were responsible for building the first usable wagon road into Sequoia's giant forest in 1903, the first museum in the National Park System, or what would become the National Park System. It was an arboretum near the South Fork of the Merced, here in Yosemite National Park. And in 1903, in Sequoia National Park, they built the first trail to the top of Mount Whitney, which in those days was the highest mountain in the United States. And after all those accomplishments, they were forgotten. If you're a ranger in Yosemite and you have this story kind of right there in front of you, you tell that story, and it's a great story, and it's an American story, and it's not just a history specific to African American history and culture, it's a history that is American history, and every American should be aware of the story, and every American should feel a sense of pride that anyone can overcome such incredible obstacles. The level of racism that existed in this country around the turn of the last century was absolutely terrible. And these soldiers saw themselves as human beings, as individuals, and they demanded that other people look at them the same way.